Yeah, the house. Well, the smaller ones are more expensive. Yeah, I was paying for my kids and me.
Yeah.
My partner. So. Was already. And the other thing is. I really think it's. And a smaller ship.
All right. Good afternoon. Today is August. Good afternoon. Today is August 23rd, 2023. The time is now 1:30 p.m. I'm Kevin Day, Chair of the Custer County Board of Commissioners, and I will call this meeting to order. If you do have your cell phones, please silence them at this time.
I better do that. I always forget.
Thank you. And if you would join us for the pledge and for the invocation.
Say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. And join me for the invocation, please. Heavenly Father, we come before you here today, and we thank you that as we meet together here, that you are with us. We ask, Lord, that you would guard us, that you would direct us. We ask that you would guard our thoughts, our words, and our actions. Please work your will. We do ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Kelly, could we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Day.
Here.
Mr. Kanda.
Here.
Mr. Beck.
Here.
County Attorney Dan Slater.
Here.
And Clerk to the Board. Kelly Cuthbert.
That's fine, Joe. Thank you. And audience introduction, we'll start right there with you.
Braden Wilson, County Manager.
Senator Hall. Paula Mako.
Father Red Wills. Stephen Wilcox.
Joni Wilcox. Galen Murdoch.
David Lutz.
Becky Olson. Stephanie Marmara.
John Tristan.
Bruce Green.
Matt Miles. Gary Kirsch. Jim Catherine.
All right. And if anyone goes to speak later, if you could identify yourself for the record, that would be greatly appreciated. We do have some people online as well. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
None from me. None from me.
All right, none here on it. We do have time for public comment. If you have public comment that you would like to make for anything that's not on the agenda, now would be the time. See any hands online yet? Sir.
My public comment would be congratulations to Commissioner F. And also, people online, would you not identify who's online so we know it's just like everyone else?
We generally do not.
That'd be common courtesy to do that. We're all telling them who's here, they know who's here, but we don't know who's watching. That'd be a recommendation.
Thank you. Your name again was?
David Lutz.
Thank you. We needed that for the record, sir.
Oh, that's fine. I'd like for it to be implemented.
All right.
Amongst many other things we'll talk about.
All right.
My name's Lana Rigo and I'm on the line.
My name is Peggy Collins. I'm on the line.
My name is Rick Mextroth and I'm online.
My name is Keely Smith and I'm online.
Anyone else that would like to identify themselves?
Lisa Kidwell on the phone.
Stephanie Smith online.
Nancy Drummond online.
Bree Gaspar does not have a microphone, so I'm checking in for her.
I heard one phone call. Are there other people just on the phone? Because you can't tell.
That I do not know, sir.
Oh, we got
I
one.
got one, I got two phone numbers and the rest are ID. All right. We have no unfinished business to take care of today. That would make us to take us right to new business. First item is consideration of reappointment of the BOCC chair and vice chair. I would say we got 4 months left in the year. I would personally prefer to keep it the way it is until the end of the year, at which time we normally set the chair and the vice chair. But that would be my personal comment on that.
I have a personal comment on it too then. Under the, anytime there's a new board of commissioners, and this is brand new, it's a new seat, it's a new board. When we came in under the recall in the past, and it was similar, the minute it happened, we had it, and then we redid it in the new year. So I would recommend we do it now.
Yes, anything else?
I don't have a problem with you finishing out the year. And I realize we've done some things in the past as well. But let's keep a little continuity from my standpoint. I'd be fine with you chairing this board till the end of the year. Or until the next time we have to.
That normally takes place in January. Is when that normally takes place. If you would like to make a motion to the difference, I would be willing to hear that.
Well, if I did, it sounds like we have a vote already to me. I'm willing to go along.
Well, I'll make a motion then that Kevin, you stay as chairman of this BOCC until January, when we'll re-vote on that.
Yeah,
If you're willing.
do you have anything as far as the vice chair on that?
Let's make Candace the vice chair. I'd rather learn from you
Wants
guys
to-
and not stick all of my foot in my mouth.
Okay. So I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion on the floor to leave the seats of the board the same until the first of the year. Any discussion on that?
Okay.
Those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Bye.
I'll go on. You heard what I thought.
And I would vote aye as well. And thank you, gentlemen. We have an executive session scheduled to go into for legal advice. And so I would move that we go into executive session for legal advice for 24-6-402. Brand 4, brand B. This will probably be a short session, but I would make that motion.
Before I second it or anybody else does, I think we need to know why. Because it's for legal advice.
It will be legal advice in regards to the actions that are following on the agenda for the county manager position.
To the extent that any of the commissioners have questions regarding the impacts of what is being proposed. Sorry, this would be an opportunity for the board to ask those questions in an executive session without worrying about violating attorney-client privilege.
And I'm just a little bit confused, Dan, I hear you. But we did the contract and everything in the open before, and we had a discussion. And we understood the impacts then. So I would think it would apply now. Just why does it have to be? Like, what attorney, what?
I don't want to get into too many details, but I know that there are
Okay.
questions about that some have, including, I think, you, Commissioner Kanda, have had about potential impacts of.
Yeah, I was thinking we
On
do
the
that later
county.
at some point. In an open
Okay,
meeting,
well,
but that it may be not in an open meeting.
to the extent that what we are doing may or may not result in litigation, I don't want to
No.
have that discussion in an open session.
That's fine.
But that's up to the three of you. If two of you don't want to do that, I'm perfectly fine. Not going into an executive session. This was just an opportunity on the agenda for us to have that discussion.
We had that discussion before in the open meeting in wet. But it's okay, I understand. I'll yield the, you got any other thoughts?
So since I wasn't privy to the executive session that happened last week,
Neither did
Wednesday,
I.
at all, I think I'd like to hear what Dan Slater would have to say concerning this document. And what's written there and the course that we may or may not take. So I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
And I have a motion on the floor if you would like to second that.
I'll second that.
Okay. So I do have a motion on the floor to move into executive session for legal advice. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Nay, I don't think it's necessary, but just for the record, but I would participate.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That being the case.
Commissioner Day, with the air conditioner running, I think they'll need to turn up your volume.
Tell you what, I'll
Your
do.
voices?
You would, please,
So everyone can hear you. Don't mind the air conditioner, just keep it up.
Well, when it gets too hot, let me know and I'll turn it back on, but I like it off too.
I know you-
I'm getting air conditioned over here.
I see that, but just louder voices is all I'm saying, please.
Yeah, speak up.
and that is, we tend to try to do that and then we end up getting quiet again, and that's a bad habit, I guess. We are looking at possibly overcoming that by miking the table, but that is not happened yet. Okay. Those that will be in this executive session, will be the three commissioners here, Commissioner Epp, Commissioner Day, Commissioner Kanda. That will include our attorney, Dan Slater, and clerk to the board, Kelly Camper. We will inform everyone when we come out of executive session so that you can. Sorry, I'm too light, okay. So those in the executive session will be the three commissioners, the attorney Dan Slater and clerk to the board Kelly Camper. We will inform everyone when we come out of that executive session so that you can come back in. And at this point, I will recess this BOCC meeting.
One last question, kind of where Dave was heading up, I mean, Canada was heading. Why is this not open to we the people?
It was stated by the attorney there are issues that we would need to get advice on that might not need to be discussed in public pending future litigation.
Don't agree.
Yeah.
Spent a long weekend.
No, I
Looks like we got everybody back. All right, the time is now 2:02 PM and the executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were myself, Commissioner Day, Commissioner Epp, Commissioner Kanda, Attorney Dan Slater, and Clerk to the Board, Kelly Camper. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into executive session occurred during that executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record now.
None here.
No.
All right. Dan, if you could make your statement, please.
And I would certify that the content of the executive session was as stated in the motion to go into the executive session for the purpose of providing legal advice, and we did not stray from that topic.
Thank you, sir. Our moving to additional new items of business would be, the first thing would be the consideration of adopting resolution 23-08, repealing of the county manager position and the county manager policy manual.
Okay, to turn over a new leaf and not discuss things before we actually make a motion so we can discuss them. I move that we consider the adoption of resolution 2308, repealing of the county manager position and county manager policy manual.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I will second that motion.
I do have a motion on the floor then to adopt resolution 23-08, repealing the county manager position and the county manager policy manual. Discussion here at the table.
So I guess I'll start. When this position got started, it really abdicated from me what I thought I was going to be doing when I went into this position. This to me is akin to somebody hiring me to do a project and I get 60% through and I give them 30% of the money back and 30% of the project back. And that project can't be finished for the 30% of what I've given him back. It's just not going to happen. It's going to bring in a different contractor. He's going to have a learning curve as to where we're at with that position. It's in my world, in my mind, that is not the way to do business. And I feel, yeah, I could give up a third of my wage. Maybe these commissioners would, maybe they wouldn't, maybe subsequent commissioners would be willing, but sooner or later, some commissioner is going to say, I'm not going to do that because I don't agree with that. And I can figure out other ways to make that money up or get that money. But the main thing is so I can't do that. I can't give up $30,000 or I can't give up a third of my wage to the county manager position because the county manager position's made it easy on me. It's made my job easy. I can sit back and like I've told people in the public, I'm going to send them right to the county manager. I don't have to, county managers is over those department heads now. So to a certain degree, I feel like I wouldn't be responsive or responsible to the people that have elected me in the position as commissioner of this county and the statutes and the resolutions that have been signed in the past. by the county commissioners and the way our government's been set up. I think that is a position in a small community like this. That county manager position is gonna take on an immense amount of stress and responsibility that a person shouldn't take on. I understand the wanting to do that, and for somebody to come along and say, I want to do that. Kudos, and I love that. That's great. That's a great spot to want to take on all that responsibility, but it shouldn't alleviate the responsibility that we have here to the people. Kevin, I've looked at this document here, and this is what Bill was doing and Kevin was doing and Tom Flower was doing. And Kevin, you have a lot of responsibility over a lot of departments, a lot of heads. And I think between our past commissioner and Kanda, you had more than those two combined. And I can see why you were buried. And I want to help you with that. I think it should be a third and a third and a third, and really divided by what our expertise are or our strengths. And maybe we toss some around there to help our weaknesses. But I think you were, from what I see, little that I see, I think you're overburdened. Maybe you don't feel that way. I'm not saying that you were. From my perspective, you were overburdened by that. I think if the county manager is going to take on the HR roles, I think that's a true conflict of interest. I've seen large companies get in huge amounts of trouble by the project manager or the manager over a project getting sidetracked, getting all of a sudden he's got a great team set up, and then he's doing things that, because his hands are idle, all of a sudden he's doing things that are getting him in trouble with HR. I like projects that are set up with separate HR other than the manager. That'd be one of the reasons why I would vote to rescind this. I guess that's what I'll say for right now. Kind of lost my mind. Train of thought.
If I may respond to.
Yes, sir.
We have tweaked that list 2 or 3 times.
Okay, well, I got bad
As a matter
information.
of fact, we tweaked it a couple, 3 months ago.
Okay. It's good to know.
Sometimes it's because of reasons as stated by you that somebody's getting more and we need to reorganize a little bit. Sometimes it's because there are specific requests for someone to be removed as a point of contact and somebody else take that over.
Okay. All right. Oh, appreciate the info.
So, that list does get changed, and not necessarily just the first of the year, so it does happen from time to time. I believe the last time it was changed was, I actually lost a couple,
Okay,
but I also took on the BSO,
all right. Thank you.
so. That's probably what I would say to that. And since I'm talking, I'm gonna let you speak last. How's that sound?
Works for me.
Uh,
I don't mind a bit.
Don't let him do that. Yeah, come on.
well, let me put, I'll let him speak next.
No. Keep going.
I have pushed for this. I think everybody in the room knows I've pushed for this really hard. Because I know in my heart that this is what needs to happen. The county needs this position. I know part of the conversation, I did speak to us having to deal with so many day-to-day items each and every day. That's probably way down there on the list of the reasons. One reason would be, and Bill's brought this up multiple times, is that we don't, as commissioners, stay in our lane. We get out of our lane and we interfere with department heads and other offices we have no business interfering with. And if for no other reason than that one in and of itself, this county needs a county manager. I have people right now that are fearful for their jobs. They feel like they have a target on their back. And it is for that very reason. They have commissioners that are interfering in their ability to do their jobs. And I believe that this county manager would be able to alleviate that. I would also encourage, I don't know if either one of you gentlemen have talked to the employees, the department heads, and the other elected officials over here in this building to see where they strike out on this, where they come down on this issue. I would highly encourage you to do that before you take this action. Because you would probably find out some things that might open your eyes and possibly change your mind on what you're about to take. I would highly encourage that. I know that I did not endear myself to a lot of people here by pushing this through and fast tracking this. I knew that going in. I brought a lot of this upon myself.
So that was your plan.
You didn't listen to.
This is at the board table right now.
I wasn't talking to you. I'm sorry.
Okay, then if you're not talking to me, you're
Sorry,
not
I
talking,
apologize.
sir.
Well, wait.
If you want to wait, or if you want to continue to talk, you can leave the room. I've let this go on way too long as well, and I'm gonna put a shutdown to it. So if you can keep your mouth closed for a minute, you may stay. Thank you. I do realize that I brought a lot of this on myself because of the actions that I took, and I fast tracked it. And I fast tracked it for a reason, and I stated that at an open meeting. I did it because of the recall election. The same reason that was stated by Commissioner Canada as to why he was waiting to present his solution. Because he was waiting for the recall election. Because we were both counting on a vote, one way or the other. And I'll admit that openly. Because Commissioner F, I did not know what your intentions were. I did not know any of that. And that is exactly why I did what I did. I told you before, I've made assumptions, right or wrong, but I did make them. That being said, I would do it all over again. This county needs a county manager. And I will be quiet now. You may speak, sir.
Okay, I beg to differ, as everybody knows, and you do too. And I'm not gonna repeat myself over and over again. I'm gonna bring up a couple new items as well, but the VSO thing, we do need to realign, and that needs to be done regardless, one way or the other. And I brought that up before, just to see where we were. We do need to make sure it's equitable, like Lucy made a good point, regardless which way it goes. However, and I've always stated, we have responsibilities and authorities as commissioners that are granted by the people of this county. And I am not in a position now to say I need so much help because I'm buried that I can't manage and stay in my lane. And I always did that before. It was hard to do because of that. And I did talk to people. I have talked to people. I understand it. And then in the end, you got to listen to the boss, and the boss is the people, are the people, and they've spoken too. And so I'm not going to rehash all that, but I'm going to make a statement that says, look how tough it is today. Everybody's earning power was average earning power in this room in this county went down $800 more a month. It cost me $800 more a month to live. And we are asking the sheriff when he comes in and asks for $15,000 to help pay a car grant that he lost. We argued about it. We made him grovel for the money. And at the same time, in the same meeting, we granted $10,000 a month to be paid to a county manager that we don't need, in my view. And I don't need to burden the people with a $10,000 bill that would have gone each month. You add it up, $125,000 a year with benefits over the life of a few years. And you've got several miles of road, either gravel, asphalt, chip seal, whatever. And I don't see the reason we need to sacrifice $10,000 a month to have somebody do the job of the director of roads and bridges, or the road boss, or the director of planning and zoning to do the things that they need to do if they recognize the structure that we're under. And that's the option that we never had a chance to look at. And in my view, that's the next steps that we will do now. If this passes, we will realign things that should be realigned, and we agree to. We need to figure out and get a BOCC ad. We've got a lot of things that are hanging here arguing over this. We don't have an administrative assistant anywhere. Grant administrator, PIO is confused right now. We need to do the finance director now. We're going to have to figure that out later. A lot of things have to happen, and I view the mid-month issue time to get an all hands together to have the people understand what we've been trying to do, because it got, like you said, mixed up in the confusion of rushing to make something happen before somebody left office. That was silly or foolish or just asinine. So that's my view. And I don't think I need to say anything more. I've been listening to the world, the public, and our people, and me and you. We can do it if we can manage the way we should as professionals that are managing the line below us. And that the people understand we need to stay in that, and they need to know that there's no fear of firing, for heaven's sakes. Major jobs, it takes the CEO of the company to do it in some cases, and that's true here. He needs to come to the board, and it's powers granted to those managing commissioners that matter, that we need to understand. We haven't had a chance to do that yet.
So, Mr. Dave, you brought up the people in the county, working for the county, in the courthouse, correct? Mainly. So the rumors are that new commissioner just come in and fire everybody, right? But I can't do that. It takes two of us, right? Am I correct on that?
Yes.
So if I take that power and I turn that over to county manager, he can at whim, because this is a right to work state, correct? So he could go and he could hire somebody and he can fire somebody at whim. And so I'm trying to somewhat protect the people that work in the courthouse, because it takes two of us, right? I can't just go through the courthouse and go, I don't like that person, I want them gone, and make it happen.
Not only that, they're elected officials that work for the people and fire them.
And that technically we could hire and fire anybody in the county. But the employees of the different department heads and the other elected officials are under their purview.
Okay.
The elected officials are autonomous. We have no authority over them. The department heads we do, which is who we hire and fire.
Right. But it takes two of us again, right?
Yes. it
Or
does.
we're best suited to do that action.
Unless we delegate it differently. For whatever.
And that would be the authority given to the county manager as well, dealing with the department heads. He would not be dealing with those departments' employees as a rule. I would speak to a couple things that you brought up, sir, if I may. The admin job has been posted, I believe. Is that correct, sir?
Correct.
As what?
I'm sorry.
As what? What? The job?
Yes, and you did get an email about this, an executive administrative assistant.
For,
I'm sorry,
including the PIO.
no. All of which is in my.
So.
Okay.
And secondly, I'm gonna go back to the lanes thing. Whether I should or shouldn't, I don't know, but I will. We have all been out of our lanes, all three of us. Including yourself, sir.
If you say so.
Well. Yes, I say so. I can refer back to. The latest that I'm fully aware of would be when we had an HR director that was tasked with. Redacting and sending out. Applications for a position. And then you decided to send those out on your own, but instead of having the HR director do that. That was not your responsibility to do, sir. It was out of your lane.
Was it
We
said
also
that
have
we all agreed
issues.
to that was going to be sent out, so I didn't see.
We agreed that it would be done by the HR director.
Alright.
You can go back and listen to the tape, sir. We also have issues in another office to where in one I will not bring that one up. I do not, I think that individual would rather not even be brought up and everyone would know it. So I respectfully disagree with you that you have not departed from your lane. And as I say, if for no other reason, that is reason enough. Anything else?
So the executive assistant, are they also gonna serve as the BOCC admin?
Yeah. So the administrative assistant would not serve the BOCC in any way. Because there is so much coming off of the BOCC plate, it didn't seem like there needed to be any sort of secretary for the BOCC. That they could start answering their own calls, dealing with the public on a one-on-one basis. To really work with the public, with their bosses, it's been stated. Just so there is more of a transparency there. This administrative assistant would be an assistant to the administration building. Which would be for the director of finance and HR position, which was filled as well. And does take me out of the HR position altogether, because I also agree HR should not be in management whatsoever. So the county manager would have no HR responsibilities. They would just have management which at the end of the day, that's the only difference between what my previous position was as director of finance and HR and the county manager, is that I have given the HR duties to someone else, and I have taken on the management of the directors. So, and again, those, yes, you're absolutely right in that if it as an at will, that those people could be fired and hired by the county manager. I think it would be in the board's best interest. It would certainly be my philosophy to let the board know before anything like that were to take place, unless it was absolutely egregious and needed to be dealt with right away. But otherwise, this is a team and you all are the strategy makers. I'm simply the executor in that way. And you did mention, so that you mentioned the HR with the county manager, so that is separate. And then the commissioner responsibilities, you're right, there's a lot of administrative type stuff commissioners won't have to do anymore. And the hope has always been, as I've presented in the past, and as that BOCC policy manual tries to lay out, is that the commissioners then have more time to work with the public one-on-one, not to
not to send them to the county commissioner or the county manager to work with the public. It's to let the county manager make sure that the building is running well. And then the commissioner has more time to work with the public, to take concerns to the county manager to make it happen at the county level and to bring that to regional and state. That was the intention the entire time. And so so there's three things: the admin assistant, the PIO, and the finance director that Bill mentioned. Those are already in progress. The executive administrative position has been posted. The director of finance and HR has been promoted from within, Lisa Bivens, and she's offered that, or she's accepted that position. Just to get that HR off of my plate as soon as possible. And she's well qualified for it. She's been doing and learning the position for the last 2 years. And she will do well in that position now. And I have started to give her all of the current investigations that are going on in the county. That way she can handle that herself. The PIO position is still a little bit up in the air. I think that that's something that when I asked about having a strategy meeting with the commissioners last week, that I wanted to discuss whether or not that would actually fall onto the county manager at the end of the day, being the face of the county if needed. And that would solve some of the issues and questions that we have right now with where it currently lies, that responsibility. So that's still up in the air, and that's something that I had hoped to get some input from you all on that. But that addresses those three positions, and then Bill also mentioned the VSO thing that needs to be realigned. I assume he means point of contact. The directors would answer, as it stands currently, answer to the county manager. So the org chart would need to be redone the way it stands now, and the boards and the directors as it stands are under the county manager. And so being able to just work through some of the strategies there, but that really was, and as I've mentioned before in the presentation, it's to get the strategy to start looking at the long-term effects, what you all can be looking at to lead this county, and then make sure that you're keeping on top of it. I don't expect to keep my job if I just go by and start firing people. You guys have full power to terminate me whenever you would like, as we know. So that's where it's at. And my intention, the entire point of this was to give you guys that time, because it's not been happening. There's not been strategy that's been happening at the county. There's not been, there has been getting out of lanes. There's been management issues that I personally faced as the HR director that weren't being addressed by the commissioners. And so these were all attempts to try to fix that. That's why I ran for the position, and that's why I'm here. I'm at the leisure of the board, whatever you guys would like me to do. And if that involves being out of that position with this item of business, I will agree. I do think that the public should know that that would constitute a breach in our contract that was signed last week. And so I just want to make sure that they're fully aware that that's what one of the impacts will be from this decision. Thank you.
To be clear, if I may,
Yes, you may.
it's my opinion that to correct county manager, if the board adopts this resolution, it's not a breach of the contract. It simply triggers the severance portion of the contract. It's not a breach of the contract.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Is the new finance HR person that's now taking your spot, she's going to need an assistant, correct?
Yeah. That's part of the admin, executive administrative assistant, which we were looking at going to part-time previously. This would help fill in some of to make that a full-time position, and to help both the county manager and that person in that role. Since I'll still be taking on the budget side of things with the county manager position, the only thing that's currently being added to Mrs. Bivens's job is the human resources aspect. And so that that becomes where she will need a little bit of help, but not to the same extent that the director of finance and HR and the assistant director of finance and HR required.
Okay, so you talked to us about strategy, and I know that with the change in commission that we've had here, there's been a partial loss of what's gone on. And I'm new to this and some of the knowledge. So we should strategize, and I totally agree with that, and lay out a plan. But what was laid out is we need this position, and then we're gonna decide, and we're gonna put this thing in it. And kudos to you for the severance package that nobody else in the county has, but I know. That's great. I love the aggressiveness. That's great. But what it's not done is now we're trying to figure out what this position is going to do, when we should have been doing that before we said, hey, this is what we need this person to do. This is what it's gonna do for us. And then we're gonna go out to the public and we're gonna sell to them. And I haven't had a chance to talk to all the people in the courthouse. Right now, they're afraid of me. They're afraid that I'm gonna come in and fire them all at will. And I can't do that. And I wouldn't do that. And it would be crazy of me to try to do that. So I'm not gonna do that, just for the record. That's not my plan here.
And for the record, neither would any of the other commissioners do that. Period.
What I think is we have 4,000 citizens. How much time is it gonna take me to go ask every single one of them what they want? Right? Because that's who I serve. Now, I fully support all the people that are in the courthouse, because if they don't have my support, they can't serve the people, period. And that's how I run all my projects. And that's who I've loved to work for, is the people that supported me. Then I could go out and support my clients. And the clients are right there in the chairs. Yeah, they are those of us who own ground here and pay taxes too. But they're our clients. And we can't forget what they want or don't want or at will. So, and I hate that I have to address you, but you have the majority of the knowledge that I need to make a decision. Because we can't talk outside this room. And as far as this meeting is concerned, these two guys are brand new to me, even though I've known them almost since I've moved here. So, or at least the last 3 years since him and I ran. So, but I'll be quiet.
Yeah, I want to make a statement, follow up on what you said also, right? And, he's applying you for your zeal and your exuberance to push on, but that's also a detriment. Because given what's happened and given you knew that this was a rush job from the get-go, and we were doing things to make it happen before X happens, whatever it was, including today. Because publishing the admin position without the PIO on there, and that's what the other half was going to be, which was part of the deal that we had discussed before, our grant administration or grant whatever. We had a whole new job description we worked out in painstakingly to make that happen when Jennifer got moved over to the OEM, so we'd have a good BOCC admin description. That's not what got posted. So now it's just indicative of other things we have to unravel. And part of it is the severance package. Fine, we can discuss that. Other things are going to be, we're going to have to take down those ads if they are in. I know that it hadn't had time. Maybe it's in time for the newspapers. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It'll have to be retracted if we pass this, because you didn't wait or didn't, I don't know why, what motivated you, but I had to applaud you for driving a hole and I'm going to go run the county. But that is just a couple comments to get. And I'm sorry that you got wrapped up from my point of view. I feel bad that the other board helped seed that desire to get it done quickly and push on without regard to what's going on around you with the citizens and the other things that are happening. So anyway, that's 2 more cents worth. So, and I'm done. Again, I'm done for now.
else for you, sir?
Now, open it up.
Okay, I'll open it up for public comment. I will allow everybody a public comment one time for 3 minutes. And I'll get to you first before I open it up. But you'll have this opportunity to speak. It will not be a give and take. It'll be a public comment. And you'll have one chance to speak for 3 minutes. And Braden, if you'd like to respond, sir.
Yeah, and so just real quick, and it's unfortunate that so much disinformation has gone out, especially I think the Sentinel's been a big piece of that. Something like the, not having things done ahead of time, we did the policy manual, which does, it completely define what my job, what my role as county manager is supposed to do. And so, I have to beg to differ that wasn't put in place ahead of time. And so doing things like changing the job description for what was decided for the BOCC and under the BOCC was in my purview for that, to go ahead and make those changes and get it posted, because we need to have it ASAP. And I came into this position with the idea that I was going to do this position and not sit around and just, collect whatever paycheck I might be able to get out of this. So that's the entire reasoning behind that. I'm sorry if that's against what you guys wanted or had hoped for. That was part of the reason why I wanted to have that strategic conversation very early on in this, to have some sort of workshop. So I know this isn't going to change anybody's mind, especially the public that's in here or anything like that, but it's there, it's been at public meetings. If you take the time to actually watch the public meetings, you can see that it's not the rhetoric that's been spread around. I think even things like Bill calling me incompetent, Commissioner Kanda calling me incompetent in the last meeting, it was uncalled for, given that he signed off on the job description. He had selected me or had put me forward as in discussion as one of the finalists, even though it wasn't just the singular finalist. And so there's been several times during this that there were opportunities to prove that maybe I was incompetent for this, but to just keep spreading that, even though I meet all the qualifications and have been doing the job to the best of my abilities for the less than week that I've had, is uncalled for. So I thank you for the opportunity to serve in this position, and we'll go from there.
Just later, do you have a timer on your? Okay, if you could keep track of that, please, I'd appreciate it.
You guys hot? You want me to turn on the air conditioner?
Yeah, let's.
You have to speak up.
We'll speak up.
Go ahead.
So, I think Lucas actually brings up some good points here. What I will say is I've been reporting here for about 8 years, and you are the 10th commissioner in 8 years. So, and the 2 of your seats are up for re-election next year. So we could see within 10 years of me reporting here, 12 commissioners. Now, the problem with that is that there's no continuation of projects that need to get done. We can't save money for a down payment on a justice center. We can't get the land. We've been talking about expanding the landfill for at least 8 years, and we're getting down to the wire now. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that the boards are always changing. Okay, and that's just the nature of it. This is the political position. Taking out the trash, getting the roads paved, fixing up the buildings, planning for the long term, that's an institutional position. So even if there was no rancor within the county commissioners, and there is, and that's why we've had 10 county commissioners, it makes it really hard for long-term planning and infrastructure projects to take place. And that's why a lot of counties have switched over to county managers. Once in 1990, Colorado said, hey, we're a 2-term limit on a lot of positions. So you don't have the institutional knowledge anymore built into the commissioners that you used to have pre-1990. And, Mr. Day, I believe, has worked under a county manager once before briefly. And I can't remember if that was the right time frame. But he's run the roads around here. He's done long-term maintenance. You don't just go out there and plow. You constantly work on things and incremental things on the county roads here. And so a county manager accomplishes something that clearly this board can't do anymore. I'm not saying good or bad. It's just the nature of the politics here. County manager makes sure that the citizens get the basic services they've been promised by county. So I think that's something that's been very, very looked over in this entire thing. And you're also lucky to have a young man. Custer County is the oldest by average age county in the United States. And you have one guy here that's fairly young. He's one of our own, went to Custer County. He bought a house. He's got a family. That's somebody that you want to actually invest in this place in the long run, because there's not very many of them left. They're moving out of here in droves because there's more opportunities elsewhere. So again, county manager is not a political move. The idea is actually to provide more services for a longer period of time to the people of Custer County, the ones they really care about: grading roads, taking out trash, so on and so forth. There you go.
Right.
Speakers need to identify themselves.
Oh, sorry, Jordan Hedger with Tribune.
Thank you for bringing that up. Brian.
Brian Lockhart, I am the land supervisor of Custer County. I want to put on the record that Ray Wilson has been doing the county manager job long before he was appointed as county manager. But the public needs to know that. And the three commissioners were doing their jobs as far as I'm concerned, and I am informed of it. I have Bill Canada as my commissioner to go to. And we have not talked since the 3 years I've been here. That's not true. About the land. The only time we did is we had a meeting with the engineers. Okay? So that's just the first point I wanted to make. And I think Kevin is right. If you want to get rid of this position, you need to talk to all the employees first before you vote on this. Because I guarantee you, I would say 80% of the employees in the county agree with what I'm saying right now. So speak that with your grain of salt. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Sir.
I don't, you said a one-way deal, but it'd be very helpful to know.
State your name for the record first, please.
Sure. It'd be helpful to know how many employees there are and how many departments.
At the present time, we have right at 100 employees. And department wise, I would say, are you wanting departments including elected officials departments?
No.
So those departments would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 or 9, I believe.
Well, with that said, employees, I worked for a company that had 110 offices in one state. We had 2,000 employees, and employees were very important to us. And we had assistant or vice president level men or women who oversaw personnel. You three are responsible. Take good care of your people over here. Years ago, the founder of Richmond Homes coerced his employees to do things politically. It funds into his choice of recipients. The court ruled that he could not participate in his company that he founded, one of the biggest home builders in this country. He could not be on the board. He couldn't do anything with that company. He can keep his stock. So you got to decide how the effects of that illegal document that Braden was having people sign, say there's no problem here. As the head of human resources, she has to be very independent and has to be very pro employee for you. And so I don't know what should happen. But you don't have enough employees. I've had a lot of classroom time. 10 years worth. Management supervision, I managed the bank. And we.
Sorry, that's your time. Thank you. Sure.
Pat Miles. Couple of points. First, how would this chosen county manager, what did this chosen county manager do to remove the target from Ms. Jackie Hobby's back? That's the first question. Second thing I heard here was, it seemed to me to be a veiled threat about a breach of contract. And I would submit that I'm going to look the other way to that and attribute that to this chosen county manager's youth and inexperience for this position.
Thank you. Sir.
Father Ed Wills, retired Catholic priest, after attend the parish for Braden as part of. I want to speak principally to his character and being a man of impeccable honesty and integrity. And also a very brilliant young man, even just listening to all that he has accomplished in less than a week that he's been county manager. He seems like the kind of person you want on your side, on your team. Now, I'm sorry, Councilman, I understand that you believe you're going to lose a third of your salary by the appointment of a county manager. I believe you made that statement.
Well, if I made that statement, that wasn't what I meant to portray. I meant that the community has said, if you want the county manager, why aren't you commissioners willing to give up the pay to support that position?
Well, I don't think that's what most counties work.
No, it isn't, but I'm also listening to the community.
I am very new here. I haven't been here very long. And so I'm very new to the entire politics here, but it just seems to me that in this county, there's a muddling of the legislative and executive branch. That you are making policies and then you're trying to implement them by your authority over specific county heads within the county offices. And it just seems like generally we want to separate those responsibilities between legislative and executive branches. And I don't know any organization over 15 people that doesn't have some kind of management looking over them. So just as a suggestion, perhaps if the county commissioners could establish some definable metrics going forward as to whether or not the county manager position is actually an effective position. Give it 12 months and see if those metrics are met. Because I think that knowing Braden the way I do, he's going to be a very effective county manager, and that the entire county office will be doing well to have him in leadership.
Thank you. Anyone else there in the room? Sir, you may speak.
Well, thank you. My name is John Kristen. I voted for every single one of you sitting up there. And I have faith in a couple of you still. I've been disappointed in you, Kevin. Seemed like you kind of abused the gavel and want to shirk the responsibilities that we want to give you in good faith as citizens. I believe that Bill Canada can lead, and I so believe in Lucas F. I was a superintendent for a big construction company most of my adult life, usually 300 to 350 people on the job. I was not in charge of everyone, but I was certainly in charge of where it went, what had to be done, and of every single super that was of the sub nature. That's kind of where you guys are at. I think you have the ability to lead this county. I'm not sold on Braden. I thought too, he kind of screwed the Jackie Hobby thing, being way more pro Tom Flower. When Stephanie made a complaint I don't know if he talked to anybody, he sure didn't talk to Steph. He talked to you and he talked to Tom, and that's his story. So as far as I know, if I think one of the commissioners was in charge of me and wasn't doing his job, or I wasn't getting what I thought I needed, I would go out on my lanes and ask another commissioner to step in, because you were the guys we elected. All right. And I just wonder. I hope that goes the right way, guys. I still have faith in you. Thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you. Sure.
David was fairly new to the community, 2 years here, was involved, not able to be involved, but early on I met you, Kevin. And I too am disappointed in how you've changed your direction since I met you. We did chat in the courthouse a couple of weeks ago, and I questioned you about this county manager thing. It's the same talking points you're sharing today, which is good, you're consistent. But I also expressed that I don't believe we need. And I shared with you also that I was working in Fremont County, and so does my wife. And talking to the commissioners down there, who she works for, flat out said, a county of your size doesn't need a county manager. I hear Jordan's comments over here about the institution. I agree. About, and I've been in management as well, and I come from insurance and investments. I'm an outsider of this. But the department heads should be able to help manage the direction of the community. And, you know, when the new commissioners come in, because they kind of come and change and whatnot, they should be able to be updated. And as executives look at it and say, you know, those are good points and we'll talk about that or whatever. We all operate under a budget. But to add additional debt, or debt, not debt, but expense to the county for something not really needed, I don't agree with. And when I spoke with you that day, Kevin, you mentioned, well, that's something we're working on. And you kind of said Bill should have pushed it through, but the way y'all pushed it through, or Bill should have done the analysis 5 months before. Well, partly why that wasn't done is the whole recall was supposed to have been on the last election, November. That was bungled by various people in this department. That was bungled. I'm picking up in conversation, learning what's really happened here, and it makes me want to throw up. The poor management. So, I think we should reverse what was forced down our throats, because the people did speak, and they are speaking. And we should come back and reanalyze it if we need be. But I don't think this should have been forced. This is a political maneuver by you, Kevin Day, and Tom Flower. And you can't, you even said that. Not that way, not in those so many words. So it was forced, it was a rush job. And by the way, when you post a finalist, I sent you an email. You responded with kind of a light response and didn't really address the issues. And I ran it by a couple of people I worked with too. So, hey, read this email. What do you think? They said he didn't answer your question. Thank you. I didn't respond. I waited for this recall to play through. So now it's played through. And I want action. And the other thing I asked you that day was actually about the election machines. And I said, I want them gone. We do not need to use them. That's an expense to the county that we don't need. And you guys said, well, no one's talked to me about that in a year and a half. That might be true, might not be true. But there you go.
Thank you.
Can I speak?
I have a hand up on line 3. I see, according to the chat, you do not have a microphone. I'm going to see if you respond to prove that wrong.
Can you hear me?
Who is this?
This is Lena Rigo.
One moment, please. I have in the chat, Bree Gasper would like her comments read. She does not have a microphone on her computer. You don't have Zoom up. You, okay. I will read this. This is from Bree Gasper. I would like to address what Kevin said regarding the commissioners speaking to county employees. I do know many of my coworkers within the county who are very concerned for their jobs and the and the agenda the BOCC has for this community. Both myself and my husband work for the county. No one has ever asked me and mine our thoughts or feelings on the matter. I believe a county manager is a necessity. Thank you. That is from Bree Gasper. Okay. I have someone else online. Who was that?
Len Arrigo.
Len Arrigo. All right, go ahead, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, so just brief background. I'm a retired CPA. I have my own consulting firm. Coors Brewery, US Bank, MCI, AT&T, had a lot of big name clients, and I did it for 40 years as a consultant. I believe I have some wisdom and some experience here. Okay, I'm not convinced we need a county manager. Okay, that's not to say maybe a study might prove that we do need one. Kevin, you agreed that you would have a study done, and then the study would turn around and determine how badly we needed a county manager, if at all. You decided to ramrod it through because you're smug and you're smarter than the rest of us. You had people in the audience that constantly stood up and said, please wait, let's go through a process that determines it. But you ignored them because you're smarter than everybody. I beg to differ with you, sir. Then you chose Braden. You didn't talk to anybody else. You didn't put out any notices to let people apply. Now his background's in fast food. I beg your pardon, sir. For a county manager, I think we need some different experience. So if you want to go ahead with the county manager, I would be amiable to it if, first of all, you completed the study and had the study group report, do we really need it? And then if we need it, then we go out and hire the best person available. As far this contract you ramrodded through, you did it intentionally so this young man could quit and get a 6-month paycheck. And I'm going to tell Mr. Wilson, if you have any integrity at all, you would bypass that and say, that's not part of the deal. Until we determine, are we going to have a county manager? But you need to be men of integrity with fiduciary responsibility to this county. And I'm going to implore you to do so. If integrity means anything to you at all, you'll take the right steps.
Thank you. Peggy, you have your hand up. Peggy Collins.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Thank you, Peggy Collins. I agree wholeheartedly with Len. Many of us came to a number of commissioner meetings to voice our opinion that we did not need this position. Or at least we didn't need it until we heard from the committee of well-respected community members analysis. And we never got to hear that. And it was reported that Mike Foster, being one of those people on the committee, had been out of the country. He's a very busy guy, as were the rest of the people on that committee. So to have ramrodded this through without listening to your constituents, without waiting to hear from the committee, was just wrong. And the results of this last election are exactly because starting out with the treatment of Jackie Hobby, starting all the other reasons, but I know from talking with people that this decision put them over the top in the recall. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Okay.
My name's Becky Olson. I'm gonna keep it real simple for today. I still object to this for the same reasons I object to it from the beginning. The sales pitch that I've heard all along is that we have dysfunction at the highest levels of our local government. And in my book, the answer to dysfunctional government is never more government.
Thank you. Anyone else here before I call the question?
Joni Wilcox. And I would like to say, reiterate again, that we still want to hear from the Tiger team what alternatives we have to creating a county manager position. We voted, three of you, in as our elected representatives to run this county. The county manager is an unelected bureaucrat that we have no control over. We do not want that. And we stated that unequivocally a lot. And I say that since we have a new commissioner, we give him a chance to get used to his position and take that look at all the things that need to be discussed and need to be gone over choosing this position.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor. To adopt resolution 23-08. Repealing of the county manager position and the county manager policy manual. Those in
You
favor?
want to read it for the record?
Sure, I will. Thank you. Custer County Resolution 23-08. The resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Custer County, Colorado, repealing the creation of the office of county manager. Whereas the Custer County Board of Commissioners, the board, by adoption of resolution 23-05, created the position of county manager for Custer County. And whereas by motion adopted on July 19th, 2023, the board adopted the county manager policy manual. And whereas the board desires to repeal such actions and eliminate the position of county manager for Custer County. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Custer County, Colorado, that one, Custer County Resolution 23-05 is hereby repealed. Two, the county manager policy manual is hereby repealed. Three, the position of county manager for Custer County is hereby eliminated. The effective date hereof shall be the date of the adoption of this resolution, approved and adopted this 23rd day of August 2023 at West Cliff, Colorado. And so I do have that motion on the floor to adopt resolution 23-08. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed,
I say yes, because I cannot abdicate my responsibility to the citizens of this county.
so you vote aye. Is that what okay. Those opposed, I vote nay. That motion carries by a 2-to-1 vote. Any additional items of business, gentlemen?
No, the only thing that I would suggest is that we look at what we need to add to the agenda for the next meeting, the next couple, and I will forward a couple items for you guys to look at and decide how to add them, which meeting we want to do with that. So let you know that before I ask Kelly to.
And one of those items being arranging a point of contact or our lanes.
And yes, that's one of them. And the other thing that we need to do now is we've got to, if there is a posted asking for admins to be hired or any other, what are the two things that are out there, Brayden?
I sent you.
Okay, then we will reset, then we will immediately make the and I will personally look into that and we will call and make that happen. We've got to retract those.
It's to both of the newspapers and it's on the website right now.
So we're gonna have to pull it off and read the website. Because it's just gonna confuse things. Do you wanna take that on, Kevin?
I believe you said you would do
I'll
that.
do it if you do.
And, one of those items that we need to look at as well is that what the HR finance department looks like now.
Right,
Uh,
that unraveling.
and so that will need to be on that agenda as well. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, sir. That is one of the things that need to be looked at.
Right now. If they, and I'm not sure how legally it works. If he appointed a HR director, he's not the director now. Does it remain in effect what he did or not?
Yes.
It does, doesn't it?
It does.
Until we look at it to decide what that next one, that's what I thought.
Yes, I mean, again. I don't want to go into too many details of,
So we'll have to look at it.
but any action that Braden took as county manager, those are still valid actions.
So we'll have to deal with it.
Yes, we will.
I would also bring up totally different. The Mountain District meeting is tomorrow in Winter Park. I will not be able to attend that.
I had planned to go.
If you are going, I don't know if you even are aware of that.
No, sir.
We are members of the Mountain District and CCI. They are having a meeting. It is in Winter Park tomorrow. Be with me here as soon as we're done. I can get you where that is at. There is no hybrid option for that. It's an in-person meeting. And we can go over all three of the emails on that and let you know exactly what they're discussing. There'll be policy positions and legislative issues that are going to be discussed at that meeting.
Okay, can you two gentlemen handle that?
I believe I am not able to go.
I go and I will.
Bill will be going.
May I have your permission, step across the lane and go talk to the landfill guy and get to know him and his situation.
Okay. So we have that. I also had something else earlier, but I believe I have that issue taken care of. We had received as you know, I stated last meeting that we had a resignation from Roger Squire on the weed board. We received a bill for reimbursement today. For $900 some, but I believe that the reimbursement on that is $250 through the weed board. And I will get that turned over to the finance department. So we do need to address, we have a shortage of personnel on the weed board.
That's his deal.
And we are without a chair now. They've been struggling to seat a quorum.
Okay.
So they haven't been able, they have another gentleman that has been waiting on, they haven't seated a quorum to address him. But we may need to, as a board, try to reach out and get enough board members for them to be able to operate. And in the meantime, the finance department will keep track of these. They are on a limited budget as to what their reimbursements are for this cost share program. So that needs to be on our plate as well. Anything else? You sir.
None here.
And we'll adjourn this meeting at 3:11 p.m.